this meeting. First order of business. Review and approve September 18th, 2020 minutes.
Motion we sign and approve the September 8th minutes as written.
Second, all in favor?
Your magnifiers if it helps.
No, that's all right. I can see if I hold it back further enough.
Okay, I'll hold it over here.
I appreciate it.
Put it on my back. Yeah, we'll stick them to my back for you. Second, review and approve September 22nd, 2021. Motion?
Make a motion we sign and accept the September 22nd warrant as written.
All in favor? And we're going to quit claim deed to sign. And quit claim deed back to owner after paying taxes. Well, that's a good one. So the motion we sign this quit claim deed.
After they pay the taxes.
After they pay the taxes. Second? Have they paid the taxes yet? Have they paid the taxes yet? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make a motion we sign the quick deed as written.
Second? Favor? Yeah, you're on.
Get extra ink. All right, so got a few things for you guys to sign. First one is a tree growth application. I apologize, farmland. The lines aren't here because they printed it off the line, but anywhere down here is fine. this is an abatement, for, map 11, lot 17A. It's about an adjustment to the acreage from 110.6 acres to 55.8 for the deed. This would be Deb's copy and then our copy. Both the same thing, just my copy with the holes in it, has the back. If you want to look through it or ask me any questions, they're all there.
They had this figure twice as much as what it was.
Yeah, I don't think it was fair. This is an abatement for map 5, lot 63. Corrected the property card info, the sketch, and the acreage. This one was completely messed up. So again, Deb's copy and mine will go back. You guys want to look through it? Ask any questions? It's there. Basically, went out, measured the property, inspected it personally myself, and we redid the whole card.
Good.
This is an abatement for map 11, lot 82A1. The barn was assessed to the wrong parcel. We're abating it off from that parcel. I got all my supplements at the end, so we'll turn around and suck it to the right one. Would it be better for you, Daniel, if I was saying what the values were on the abatement, or it doesn't matter?
I can, make a note, so or not.
This is an abatement for map 9, lot 42A. The land code correction from a single-family home to a manufactured home. So that does make a value difference and a value change. So when you look at these, show the whole abatement, 40,200 just by changing that code. This is an abatement for map 6, lot 29, D1. We removed the double buildable lot and reduced the grade to average. So it had 2 buildable lots, so your first lot's $25,000, it was on there twice. But, I would remove and reduce the grade to average. This is an abatement from map 3, lot 13B. The reason is it corrected the grade from average plus 10 to average, and we corrected the flooring to laminate flooring instead of carpet. This is an abatement for map 10, lot 25. We corrected the sketch to a loft instead of a full second story, so it was only a loft and then half cathedral, and corrected the bedroom count. It was a 1 bedroom with a loft instead of a 3 bedroom. So this is another one that I went out and, I'll speak a bit on inspecting myself anyway, but this is an abatement from map 10, lot 29-ON. Basically put in there as a, gate, it really was a camp. So that changes it quite a bit. So we corrected the sketch, because there's some issues there, and construction detail. ART was not able to get inside, so there was estimates made, but I was able to do a full inspection.
Oh.
Do you have a total of where we're at right now with the business?
I do have it with me.
I thought it was more. But when you're signing abatements for $23, don't add up that fast.
Just refresh my memory. So this is an abatement denial. So this individual had actually felt that the mobile home was overvalued, provided some information, but it wasn't based on just value, current market sales in any way, shape, or form. So this one will probably give you a little more explanation. Feel free to look through. I've included the subject property here and what the assessed value is. I mean, total assessed value here. It's been owned since '99, so they're not going to feel like, you know, the value probably is right because it did increase. But I've brought 3 comparable sales that have recently sold. So like, for example, with the same codes, with the same tables as the subject property is being assessed, these are being assessed similar matter. And so with an assessment of $112,000, it sold for $118,000. These are mobile homes. Assessed for $85,300, sold for $88,000. And this was assessed at $72,000 and sold for $90,000. But that was back in 2009, so it would make sense that 10 years later now the value has also dropped, you know, appreciated. So I do believe that I feel very comfortable defending this, so that's why I'm denying it, or requesting that you guys deny it. I do believe that this one's accurate. That's that. I got 4 denials tonight. Did I say what that map and what number was? I apologize. Yeah, okay. 538B. Sorry. So this is actually 3 separate requests because that's how they were assessed this year. However, with a little bit of research, and I'll explain, I've kind of gone So this is map 11, lot 9-1. There's three separate lots, side by side, same ownership, too small, non-conforming. And it's a situation where, kind of getting our feet up underneath of us, we've gone back and forth in the past. I guess at one point they were assessed buildable, then they weren't. So like last year they went through as not buildable. This year now looking at it, of course with the reval, they were assessed as buildable. The buildable lot was put on them. They're only like 1.22, 1.88. They're small. However, you have three lots, all in the same ownership, all contiguous. And according to your lot size ordinance, when that situation happens, then basically they become one lot. So that's where I'm going to and from. Going forward for this coming year, it's already in our system as one lot. We've combined 9-2 and 9-3 into 9-1. However, where they went through, committed this year as three separate lots, I have to address them three separate individual ways. So for lot 9-1, 1191, I'm recommending a denial of the abatement because the request has been to make them all non-buildable. Ultimately, I'm going to leave 9-1 as first acre buildable with excess. 9-2, 9-3, we've got abatements here to reduce them down to an excess acreage only. So in reality, we're addressing them in three separate points, but coming up with the same valuation that we will have as one lot next year.
No.
Does that make sense? Okay.
All right, I did better than I thought it would.
So this is actually 9-1, 11-9-1, so this is my denial. I'm recommending to let it stand as it is. I do have a lot size ordinance here if you guys needed it, but I'm not too familiar with it. This is the abatement for map 11, lot 9-2. So this is basically taking the buildable lot off and making it 100% excess acreage. So all acreage to excess for lot size ordinance. So you're going to have your three lots side by side. I still have to address them. They went through commitment as three separate lots. So I can't smush them together because we're already I can't wipe out 11-9-1 because that's the one I'm combining the other two into. I can't wipe that out and then reassess it. I can adjust what's there, so that's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. And this is abatement request for 11-9-3, so this is the third parcel we're talking about. Same thing. It should be straightened out now. This is an abatement request for map 3, lot 24-B. This was corrections to the building sketch and construction detail, and it was not accurate. So we've actually done an inspection last Friday, measured the building and corrected it. This is an abatement for map 13, lot 5-C. This one we went out and inspected, had a finished basement, which was assessed as a finished basement. It did not have a finished basement, and it corrected the outbuilding dimensions that were wrong. So we removed the finished basement.
What map and what was that?
map 13, lot 5-C. Yep. This is an abatement for map 7, lot 27. And we went out, did an inspection, removed the yard item that is no longer there, and corrected the siding code for the building.
Did you do this one?
I did not. All was up there last Friday.
I spent probably an hour and a half with him.
This is an abatement for map 7, lot 17. Remove the double assessment of a garage, and apartment that is not there. We'll wait on this one to a denial. I want to make sure all three of you understood why. So this is a denial of abatement application for map 13, lot 18-A. Basically, I put the reason for the taxpayer failed to provide proof of overvaluation based on recent sales within the town of Baldwin. In response to the combining of acreage, the lots which were purchased at different times are not automatically combined when they meet the requirements of lot size ordinance, which was last updated within the town on March 10th, 2018. The lots seem to have been combined in the past for assessment purposes with the previous assessor. However, there is no record on file in writing, as required in Maine State Law, Title 36, Section 701A, to combine them. That could be an option in the future, but I have nothing right now, so
Okay.
we're denied. Yeah. And we didn't have it as of April 1st, even if it was provided to me, this week or last week, we still don't have it April 1st. It'd be applicable for next April 1st. Yeah.
Did you talk to her?
I did.
So she's all squared around.
I talked to her the day that she put the application. Well, that letter will be going up for. Yeah, it's 60 days upon receipt to appeal it. So this is another abatement application. Basically, what I had to work with, reason for requesting was part of my land is buildable, why went up almost $700. So it wasn't really, this is why I feel I needed an abatement, it was more of a question of why. I still take the time and research, and if I see something out of whack, I'm definitely more than happy to fix it. But so my thought is obviously to deny this. And the reason I put was taxpayer failed to provide proof of overvaluation based on recent sales within the town of Baldwin. In response to the statement that part of the land is swamp, the excess land, which you can see on the card, is already receiving an adjustment for wet acreage. In addition, the reason for an increase in the overall valuation is due to the revaluation, using more current sales data, as well as an addition of a shed and a garage to the property since 2019. So,
Which one's that done? Sorry.
yeah, I probably didn't say it. Map 3, lot 35. Sorry. This is an abatement for map 13, lot 14-B. There's an adjustment to the shed, from a shed with electricity lights to just a normal shed, and adjusted the bath count 1 after 1. So this is a supplement. This is going the other way. Let's put money in the coffers for you. Okay, so this is supplement number 2 for this year 2020. So the barn that we discussed earlier that was on the wrong property, that's being subbed to the correct person. And there was a complete house missed that's been there for years. It was just not down to vacant land. So we're putting that house up.
Okay.
Take a look at that. That will show you the valuation, the total taxes.
This one little house was not on?
Correct.
$85,000. Wow.
Now, there was also a parcel that we untangled this past year, and actually was assessed. It's been there for a lot of years, but it was actually assessed for the first time as tax commitment. Danielle may be more aware of it. Von Maxey, it's owned by Von Maxey. I've had real estate licensees trying to close on this property, so they've been after us for some back taxes. So these are the back taxes. So this is for tax year 2018 and 2019 for this 21-acre parcel. So it's 2019. So based on the other thing that we do is, even though we change how we assess land right now, you get your first acre for $25,000, and then your excess is $1,500. So I backed into this and actually did it the way it used to be. So come up with a value I have. So that made the value. My paper clips, I should have separated this one from this one. Same thing, here's the property card, I backed into it the old way that former assessor had done it. 27,000 for the first, buildable acre, $1,500 per excess acres for the first 5 excess, and then $1,000 per acre for the next 20. So we're able to come up with the right valuation, and it's proper mill rates. I did speak with the title agent as well as the licensee, so they have the values here, so my guess is they're trying to close, I think, today or tomorrow.
Yep.
So they should be all set. So you should probably see a check being mailed at some point that should match. Said half an hour, pretty much right on.
I was just gonna tell you, it's safe, I'm like, you're right on, half an hour.
So this is a copy of the Excel spreadsheet that I keep track of all the abatements for basically all our towns, so this is you guys, this fall one. So when I go through, whoever in my team fills in, like Rob did three of these for me, so we fill them out. What day did we actually do it? And of course, we're doing it according to your meeting dates, because you're the ones that actually the assessors, and therefore you're approving or denying these. We get these dates going to be your meeting dates. And it breaks it down for everything that you have right there in front of you. Name, address, map and lot, date notified. Typically, I go 2 days after you guys have met, because I got all the letters ready to go right there. Because their 60 days starts upon receipt, not when we actually sign. Yeah. So, and you got your amount abated, what that tax is, and right now they're still pending, because they have 60 days until to appeal. So once that 60 days is expired, we'll go from proposal. And then I give you the reason why. So your total right now for abatements, where you stand at this moment, is $5,531.76.
That's small, I thought it'd be more than
I
that.
did too, yeah.
Not that. Well,
I did too. There's probably gonna be more to come on this.
I got 3 sitting on the desk. I was trying to get them all done, and then another one come in about 4 o'clock, I think it was, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going.
That's our copy?
That's your copy, absolutely. Yep. That's all I have.
That's it?
That's it.
A little while now. All right. Public hearing and special town meeting date, shoreline amendment, and other items. Now, I believe that they picked the date for the public hearing,
October 8th.
October 8th. So, what are we gonna do, pick a date 7 days after that? For special town meeting?
October 20th is a meeting, and it would be 7 days after the public hearing. And the notice in the shopper's guide, which is in the policy, so.
Okay. So, October 20th.
You want it on Selectmen's Meeting night?
I'm all set with that. You guys okay with it? I think a bit more people. I don't think so. Are we also gonna throw in that, for the, fire department? The, 7,000 they want for the, evaluation. Yeah. So that in as well.
You also putting in town assessor for that? On that vote?
Yeah.
We'll just have to word that correctly on a warrant article then. I'm gonna put MMA and hopefully on.
Is there any questions you had on that at all? That's why I'll stick around if you had any questions in regard to that. Or are you clear?
Oh, this is for turning everything over to you?
To a single assessor, yeah.
What do you guys think?
Well, it would eliminate everything we've just done here for the last half hour. One thing.
take time. I mean, I'm okay with it.
You gonna have a public hearing on that
We
discussion?
should, yeah.
When would you like to do that?
Same as they're having all the other ones.
Wanna do October 8th? You wanna have them, I don't know,
I don't know, it'd be kind of,
it's a Thursday, it's on a planning board night. You wanna have it at the workshop prior to the
this is something we don't really need to rush on, right?
So we need to have it done before November, right? Because we need to have it done 90 days before town meeting.
I mean, if we
I
could
think,
do this,
I think the point was to have it on the next special town meeting and avoid the presidential election timeframe, so
Yeah,
I'm so busy with everything, so.
yeah, we don't wanna have it the night they're trying to vote for president.
October 6th is a selectmen's meeting. We wanna have a hearing.
can I get in writing from you, your viewpoints on that? What kind of, power are we giving up? I mean, as far as giving you complete control of,
All the assessing, so single assessor, you'll be switching, well, you wouldn't be doing, you're putting it on the ballot for the people to vote, so the
Right.
town's gonna vote. We already know, yeah, we're gonna be happy with whatever way the town votes, you know, it's up to them. But it would definitely, like you said, save all of us some time. All this paperwork I'd be able to sign on my own, like I do for the other towns. Tree growth apps and things like that, I'd be able to process. Anything that deals with valuation, right now, you guys sign off on.
right,
Typical letters, if we're trying to urge somebody to renew their tree growth, I don't have you do that, because it's not a valuation change. So there's a lot of letters that we already are sending out directly in that regard, and for use and things like that. But, I'm still gonna be, you guys are still the bosses of the town, those positions are still the boss. So just like you would have the authority to say, hey, code officer, come in and talk to us, same thing would apply. If you wanna know, hey, where do we stand, what's going on, as far as the assessor would still come in, I still answer the council in the other towns, with town managers, so.
sure,
Well, what I heard was it saves time,
yeah.
time is money. How much money does it save the town?
It gets things out faster, right? Instead of doing this tonight, we'd be
Yeah,
signing them and,
you guys are already, really not paying all that much for what you're getting, really, to be honest with you.
yeah.
So,
We spend half an hour on doing that. And
yeah,
it could be.
I don't know if it's gonna save any more, or whatever, but, it's just gonna save your time, save my time, which, either way, whatever, I still give you the same service I give to Falmouth, I give you after hours, so,
Yeah.
I'm happy to do it, whatever we gotta do.
Will you be available that night for?
6th,
Of the public hearing for any questions?
was
or
it
what?
the 6th?
What do you wanna do?
You wanna do it, you can do it the 6th on the meeting. Or you can even get it in on the 13th. The 13th is 7 days prior to the special town meeting, so.
Okay.
The 6th
I
would
agree.
be safer if you wanted to, I would recommend
So that's a regular meeting,
Yep.
so I would probably have, honestly, I'm gonna have abatements coming back up, so.
Okay, you'll be here anyway. Okay.
6th?
Yeah.
Is this also gonna discuss fire department stuff, or is this just for that purpose? Public hearing,
We'll do fire department stuff
you
too.
wanna do fire and,
Yeah.
So, just to follow up though, just to be 100% clear, so anything dealing with valuation within that current year is what you would be giving up as a board and go into a single assessor, so, everything that we're dealing with right now, what the selectmen still have authority over would be, 2 years back, 3 years back. So the supplements we just did, for example, tonight, would fall under your purview at that
Would be
point.
Prior to us changing over.
Any abatements for those, second year back, third year back.
Yeah.
Poverty abatements, it has nothing to do with the assessor, it has everything to do with the select board. So that's nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Type of thing. that would be it.
Okay.
Everything else would turn over to a simple assessor. Which we're doing the work anyway.
Yeah, right.
The other thing, you're more qualified than we are.
Definitely. I mean, I'm not qualified, but.
Well, the way the house prices are changing and stuff and everything right now, it'd be easy to lose $30,000-$40,000 by not knowing. You've got the background, the history, know where to go to find it and stuff, so
You
you gotta figure all that in too.
Yeah, I'm trying to, yeah, it'd be the only town right now that we have that does not have a town manager, so I would answer directly to you guys. So I'll still be coming up at a meeting, but probably less often,
Okay.
type of thing. But, at some point when we're talking about another reval or something, who knows, say 10 years from now, something like that, Or the market keeps going like it is, you never know. I mean, we got one town we're watching right now that's done in 2016. I think it's gonna have to go again, probably before 2026. We're not sure. We're watching it. It's escaping pretty quick. Depends on what the market's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't even touch the numbers things are selling for, and it's just revaled in 2016.
Well.
Now, how close is that town to us either?
It's coastal, so not,
Yeah, that's
not even apples.
Yeah.
But the rule still applies, the market's still climbing right now. Yeah, if you guys ever have any questions or whatever, just definitely reach out. I just, there was a couple there I advised, I don't want to use that word either, but I just recommended contact MMA, which, again, I don't want to be advising on legal stuff and whatever, but more than happy to, kind of give that differences like we're just talking right now.
Okay.
But as far as the wording of a question or something like that, prefer that was done with you guys or MMA or, my hands on it.
Hopefully it's up to the people to go through and not for our decision to make that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Ben, this question is directed towards you. When you went over our property, I heard you mention, that the apartment had been removed over the garage because there was not an apartment. On the other, that was one number of, Senator Black Road. On the other, you mentioned one outbuilding had been removed. There's actually two outbuildings, and there's only a house on that lot. I'll request my property card again tomorrow, and if it's still there, do I file another abatement?
It won't be. I don't think that was the same property that you're talking about, because what was happening on yours is the, garage, if you will, was double assessed. So it was as a second building, a second property card. So if you got your property card, you saw it on card 2, and therefore you saw it. And that was a descriptive thing, the apartment, but it was a value driver. So it doesn't necessarily mean there was an apartment. I agree, it was wrong for wording.
Yeah.
But it's more a commercial type garage.
No, I know, but there's no commercial entity
I understand
there.
exactly what's going on, yep. But what was happening was not only was that there, but under outbuildings, you had the exact same square footage for a garage. So you were getting hit twice for that garage.
Okay.
On top of the second one being probably, the apartment issue, higher value.
Yeah.
So, but you'll get the letter.
Okay. And if we still have questions?
At that point, more than happy to answer questions for you, absolutely.
Sure, we'll wait.
But at that point, if you disagree with that actual, what's been done, you would have to file before the Board of Assessment Review of Cumberland County.
Okay.
To appeal it. But, I'm more than happy to answer questions for you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a question for Ben. Is the view factor mandated by the state, or can the selectmen totally get away with it?
I meant to bring that with me. Selectmen are still the assessors, so they're gonna be the ones that will do the assessing, we'll leave it at that. And it's a location, sadly, a rookie mistake was made by this reval company, you never use view, but it is a location, reality is someone pay more for a location? Absolutely. So that's what it comes down to. If you have a ranch built, like I said, down in the valley, you have a ranch built up on the hillside, one's gonna sell for more money than the other. Replacement cost new minus depreciation, building for building, they're the same. There's another factor in there when they sell, and that's gonna be based on your land and on the location. You're in a better location. For whatever reason, whoever buys that up there has chosen it for that reason. And so, it's definitely a factor in the overall assessment, the assessed value.
Okay. Yep, that it? All right, thank you.
Okay.
Right,
So are you guys gonna consider looking into that?
yeah.
Because I still have on my tax bill $25,000 more on my 1 acre. It's supposed to be 25 for the first. So I'm still over. And as he said, it's a selling factor, as I brought up last week about, you know, my Ed's pet. If that was to be sold into house lots, it's a selling factor. But their evaluation went down. So mine still goes up because I have a house on it. So I just wanna know if you guys are gonna consider voting on eliminating it or keeping it.
Yeah, we'll consider it, yeah.
I'm confused with the, they pay extra for the view, but we don't have a deduction factor. Like, yes, Brian has a beautiful view, but he's got a crap road getting in there. You don't take a deduction for stuff like that. Some people have a beautiful house with a view, they got a neighbor with a bunch of junk in their yard. I don't understand how we pay extra for a view factor. We don't have a deduction factor either.
The road, is definitely something I had discussed with Brian, when we were up there. I am definitely gonna look at that for this upcoming year. It wasn't part of the abatement rate per se that we were talking about at the time. And to make that adjustment, just like we were looking at the, Sebago, view issue, okay? To change one, I gotta change all, so that's why I went down to your house, right? So, same thing with that road. I'd have to look at every one of those properties, cause they all have the same access. And every one of those properties need to be adjusted. So that's where I'm looking at it right now, for the upcoming year. Cause I agree, it's a rough road.
I was born in Baldwin, I'll die in Baldwin. But just to have that view and to charge me more seems ludicrous, cause I'm not selling. You know what I mean? I'm just a Baldwin resident that wants to pay my fair share of taxes and have at it. Cause the house will never be for sale, it'll be given to the kids.
Have we always had a view factor assessed on our taxes in previous years?
Not that I know of.
You have,
Yeah?
whatever you wanna call it, yeah, you have. You have different grades of your land values, absolutely. So, the location, they were given different values on your land, absolutely.
It wasn't up till recently, cause all three of my lots were the same price up until this year.
That also include waterfront properties?
So earlier, Ben, you went back to old evaluations. So do you have a breakdown on that older evaluation on the first lot? So many acres and
Yeah,
then,
previous, you mean?
Yeah.
Previous assessment?
cause you did one earlier that sounded really a lot like mine. So I was wondering what the breakdown on.
Yeah, previous was very confusing, didn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense to me, that's why I'm asking.
Which is why it was changed with the reval. So your first acre was 27,000. I really almost need to write it down for you, because my crew was sitting going, I have to do it again.
I can contact you if you wanna, with you and I can
That's up to the board.
send it to me or whatever. Not to waste
More
time
happy,
here.
yeah,
And
more
then you
happy.
can look at it and I'll contact you on it. Cause I'd like to see if I was hit with a factor that was kinda hidden that I didn't realize.
Previously,
Yeah. And,
I'd have to pull that card, I don't know that.
and is there any way to throw an abatement on any of that?
Previous years,
Yeah.
I would go back to the select board, not the assessor board.
And,
I know they're the same people, but.
and how many years can you go back on that?
Total 3, so the one you're living in, which the assessor has authority over, and then year 2 and year 3, the board of selectmen have authority over.
Okay. So if you guys don't mind, can I contact him through email and discuss this?
I'm okay with it.
Okay,
Absolutely, yep.
so
If I'm available, that's fine.
Cause I'm confused really on how your base lot is this, but I'm getting charged double.
I can give you all, I mean, and I can definitely give you all that too, I mean,
'Cause it
it's all
should-
built right in as factors.
Cause I should see base lot is 25 and then another factor of another 25, not the 1 acre is 50. You know, I'm confused on how it's either worded or charged. And, you know, if there's a breakdown and I'm gonna get charged for the 25, I'd like to see that my base lot is 25. The other 25 is of that factor, not 50 for my base lot. And as I asked last week, I have to have 10 acres to build on, so is my 10 acres my base lot, or is it my, you know?
I'm curious about that too, because I think, is that in your
Cause
lot
that would
size
change,
ordinance?
that would change my taxes.
Is that in his lot, the lot size ordinance, there's a 10 acre minimum up on that?
It is.
Up, Highland District.
I wanna see that, yeah, I want some information on that, I don't know that KRT was aware of that, I know I wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, the Highland District,
Because it wants to be big,
right.
And, you know, I don't live in town, but if somebody lives in town with a half an acre, are they still charge 25 for that half acre? Is it adjusted? How is that?
It's currently adjusted.
So, but mine's not adjusted if I'm on a 10 acre lot.
It
As
may
of-
be,
as of
like I
this
said,
point.
right now, this is the first I'm kind of really hearing about it,
Right.
I mean, and trying to get my feet underneath. So that definitely can be, let's say there was an adjustment to be made based on that.
Right.
Then that, to answer your question, everything's fixable, right? I would definitely not ruin your reval by making decisions that I would advise against, I guess, right now. That'd be my concern. If you go against what's kind of set up there might be errors we can fix, but to break the whole system, you just threw bad money. But if there was an issue there where there is a minimum of 10 acre, for example, 1 acre, that definitely should be looked at. That is a value difference. That would affect not just you, that would affect everybody that's within that area.
Exactly.
That's something, let's say, going forward this year, I'll have to get with Wes and get a little more information on this, and say we corrected it for next year going forward, then that could also be looked at, as an abatement.
Okay.
For year two anyway, we'll say right now.
Do I file an abatement on this year for that and the past couple of years
You've already had your bite at the apple on this year,
on abatement?
on the abatement.
So you
Yeah,
get one shot?
You get one shot. If you disagree with it, then you go before the Board of Assessment Review. If you don't like their decision, then you have the option of going before Superior Court. But that's the one bite at the apple.
I did not know that. I don't know if you guys knew that either.
No.
So within that 185 days, you get one shot.
On that one issue.
So I should have wrote everything down then.
Can he, like, next year, go back to this year, or, adjustment, or, and you said go back 3 years, can you do that?
Not usually if you've already, I'm gonna say no, if you have the option right now within 60 days filing an appeal for the Board of Assessment Review.
Is there paperwork here tonight for me to do that?
It should be in the other office.
Okay. I'd like to get that if I can.
If you still have it over there.
The next step after the regular abatement?
Yep.
Yep, never given it out, but yes. Yep.
I'd love to push towards that. Cause I don't know how, if somebody's overcharged, how many years they go back. But if it's only a couple of years and I wait a couple of years, then I don't, I'm just getting overcharged every year for things that doesn't seem right to me, but I just wanna know where I stand with that base lot of, is it 50 or 25? Which I will apologize, last week I said it was valued at 118. I pulled the paperwork this week. It's at 93, so my apologies on the wrong numbers last week, but it's still $25,000 more than everybody else's base lot. And I honestly don't know why there's not more people here, on that. So I'd like to file that next section of paperwork and we'll go from there. If I can get that.
And you guys don't have a Board of Assessment Review in Baldwin, so you go before a county Board of Assessment Review.
It's on your website, it's on your, the tab, right?
Should be,
Like,
should be.
Okay. There you go. It's for Ben.
And we're always, like I say, always available down there, just give us a call if anybody has any questions or anything like that anyway. You know, Danielle has access to property cards.
Next thing, cemetery metal detector purchase.
Possibly, do you guys wanna buy a $58 metal detector to find pins?
It's hard to find the pins over there. No, there's pins, but there's 2 inches of sawed over the pins and stuff, so when you go to locate a lot, lately what I've been doing, everything by measuring.
Yeah.
And I did 3 last week, and 2 of them come right out right on the money. You know, after I had to dig to find the thing, so if we had a metal detector, just a cheap one, just to find, because there's a piece of steel, piece of re-roll on the top of aluminum cap.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would pick up that,
Good, yeah.
you know, I'm not gonna be here forever, I mean, somebody else is gonna be doing this pretty quick.
I'm okay with it. You okay?
I'm fine with it, yeah.
Yeah.
You said $58, it'll save
She
you.
just wanted to find 58 and it got good reviews, so it must, I mean, the pin's not gonna be that far underneath the ground,
No.
hopefully, so.
If you find some money, keep it. Mountain road repair. Okay, I brought that up because I would like to see, an estimate done. I mean, we talked about this a little bit last time, how to fix Mountain Road. And we have Brian, somebody go up and get an estimate and bring it to next town meeting, have that fixed, at least brought up to better condition.
I was up there last, when I meet you.
Monday or Tuesday this week, I believe.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure which day.
To be honest with you, I don't think the road is that bad right now, but in the winter time or the spring of the year, I can see where it changed, because it isn't built up any. If it was up 3 inches, I think it would probably help you a little, Mike, stuff by, but right now, I thought the road, except for the hill where I met you,
Right.
that's pretty poor, through iron and stuff.
There's a lot of rocks that are showing that never used to be. And I look at it as town equipment getting beat on those. If, like you said, 3, 6, whatever it takes to get over the top of those,
Yeah.
would make a huge difference. And then you get your drainage. Right now, the road drains down the center.
Yeah.
And
It
that's
should
really
be-
not.
It should be curved, and drain out to the side.
And that's the problem like you have during the springtime, is it gets so muddy, it's impassable. I know
Right.
a couple of years ago, we had a late snow, and you got stuck going up there, and you had me calling Brian to get up there.
Right, I couldn't get in.
Right.
But we also have a lot of ice through the winter that doesn't run in a ditch because there isn't any down the center of the road. And as winter, as everyone knows, it just runs over the top, builds, and then you just get this huge ice dam that you're fighting with throughout the winter.
Mm-hmm.
But some buildup of the road and ditches would certainly help.
The day I see him, I did the mountain road, I did Saddleback, and I did Carbonell Road.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I built a new house on the end of Carbonell Road too. As overall, I give a pretty good, pretty good rate for the roads right now. Like I say, come spring of the year, it's a different ballgame.
I think it's a matter of safety too. I mean, if you can't get an emergency vehicle up to them in the springtime, that's a problem.
Right now, it's been so dry, there's been 0 washouts, 0 mud,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be good, it's all packed down right now.
Well, this is the worst time of the year when it's a dry, because it don't hold anything together.
It muffs up, the rocks come up through it, right?
Yeah, it'd be better to have a couple little rainstorms and pound the road down. But, I was thinking it would be really washboardy too, and it wasn't. It was pretty good, really.
Other than the rocks you have to drive around, it's not that bad. It's just, when you got rocks sticking out that you can tear your exhaust system off on. To me, that's bad.
Playing an old video game.
I've been playing it for a while, so I've had enough, honestly.
You could do the road blindfolded?
met him in the worst possible place, right in the middle of a hill. All of a sudden, I see headlights coming down over the hill, and so I'm thinking, oh, this is great. I'm gonna be backing up about a quarter of a mile, you know?
You would have if I'd known it was you. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm glad we met, so you know I'm around looking at it.
Right, well, I'm glad you came out, I've requested in the past, come just look at it, that's all I'm asking. See where I'm looking at it from. I'm on it every day, you guys see it once every couple of years, whatever. So, I've seen a big change.
Yeah, throughout the years, yeah. So, yeah, you wanna get in contact with Brian and tell him what we requested? I'd like to see it in the article when next time we meet.
If we get that good road in there with my evaluation, then everything will be on the same playing field.
I knew that was coming.
Might be cheaper to fix the road than it is to go to the board of review.
We'll see.
MMA recommendations for fire department. Is these,
What a lot of it is that happened there, in the past, a lot of stuff was considered in the fire department. And a lot of, like the air packs and stuff like that, when the paperwork was filled out, it was for the building. And what's happened now, we've added it to the truck, it's more of moving stuff around is what happened. About the only things into the buildings would be the, SCBA compressor, your air compressor for the trucks and stuff like that, furnace, water pumps, stuff like that, that stays. Basically anything, the jaws, power saws, anything that used to be under the building is actually on the truck. So now it's considered part of the truck. And what you say, the difference is $400 about?
It's about 400, yep.
So.
We
Hey,
don't
Ben.
see that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, man.
It was moving stuff around and increasing values of the trucks for replacement costs because if something happens,
Yeah.
we need to replace it, and if we're only replacing it for half, it's.
Well, that happened somewhere, it's right there, fire station burned.
Yep.
And when they did all the figuring and stuff, they only had half insurance on
Mhm.
it. So they took quite a beating there.
And then there's a few other things we're gonna deal with next week, which I can tell you here, and even these guys don't know that he doesn't, but like with the coats and stuff like that, they take them home instead of being on a truck, the fire gear. For the simple reason, like myself, I don't even know where I'm going, which end of town I'm gonna be, which truck I'm in, or any of that, so.
Right.
And it's the same with a lot of it, so, but what happens is their responsibility when they take it home, if it's lost, if it's, burnt or something like that, it's their responsibility to pay for it. But, what the guy said from MMA, what they didn't cover, or if they couldn't cover it, MMA said, don't worry about it, they would work out something, so they would be, be repaired. But that is, to me, that's a big difference, because now we threw the liability back someplace else on that stuff,
Yeah.
that we hadn't in the past.
So, if the gig is ruined, they're gonna call?
Not gonna call, but if for some reason.
My van catches fire, my
the
gear's in the
van
back of my
catches
car.
fire,
Okay.
something like
I'm
that,
responsible for my gear.
that's, the responsibility is theirs at
Okay.
that point, it's not the town's.
Yeah.
In a way, I'd like to think of this part of the town's radio's the same thing. Because it's given to them, it's their responsibility for it.
Yeah.
But he also said that they, MMA would pick up whatever we couldn't recoup.
Okay.
Those are the big changes right there that happen when I walk around with this guy.
So they're evaluating higher, as far as insurance purposes, they're going a little higher than they were.
They went higher because they said we increased the value of the trucks. But also what used to be in the station, when we filled out the old paperwork, is now all on the trucks.
Okay.
Technically, it is on the trucks, so that's where it should be.
Yeah.
But no one told us in the past that we should be writing that stuff as truck gear as opposed to station gear. To me, it's east, west, and north station.
Right.
That's what I was, working with in the past.
Yeah.
And he picked up on that and said technically it should be with the truck that it's on. So I took him around to all the stations and opened every door and he inventoried the larger items. You know, rakes, shovels and stuff like that, we didn't bother with.
That's something that we do.
Expendable tools.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I thoroughly interested in cameras, you know, $3,000 right there. And I think we had them less than that, if I remember right, I can't remember where it was on there. There was different things that,
You suggesting putting a policy together?
yeah.
Would you guys get any paperwork at all on the trucks now before you use them? Do you do a
Okay,
check or anything?
here's the deal. Yes and no, because the Department of Labor wanted this in the past, when we went through all this bull ticket here a number of years ago. And they brought it back forward again. And this is something that I've gotta work with Jason and we're gonna have to force this. Every time you take a truck out, you're gonna have to sign a piece of paper.
Well, you know, your tractor trailers are running up by here doing it every day. And sometimes if they're running 24 hours, they're doing it twice a day.
Yes. And see what we done, we said, you know, if we're taking, you know, when he started, we took him out driving, you know, sign a piece of paper and all this, or somebody new. Take him out, sign the paper, make sure that the cable, no one turns, stops, railroad tracks, whatever, you know, you're looking for all kinds of things when you do this. But now, what it is, reading this here, what you've got, it's every time you take a truck out, you might as well grab a piece of paper and fill it out, because in that 3-year time span, when the renewal is, because it has to be looked at every 3 years unless you suspect speeding or something like that, then you gotta look at it more often. Know that pulling up a record, every 3 years, you gotta redo that, look at it, Jason and myself, or whoever's in charge, has gotta look through all that paperwork. And
I'm surprised they let you go. I mean, they did ours every year.
So basically, you're saying logbook,
It's
just like
gonna be
the
a
tractor
logbook,
trailer, right?
yeah.
Well,
It's like a logbook that we have to log when we're driving.
It'll be a vehicle condition report.
Yeah.
Pre-trip.
Pre-trip, post-trip.
Pre-trip, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would it be
I
a
don't-
town Baldwin fleet policy and include Brian's fleet as well?
It might have
So
to.
I think it's a combined thing from what he's saying,
It might have
so
to.
Brian's gonna have to get on board with us as well, if he can just hire.
What it is, it's a check before a check,
Yes.
you know, and
Yeah, but they're not expected to, if you get a call, to do a pre-check before you,
No, you
Take the
can't,
truck out.
you can't do that, but
Right.
when you come back, you can fill the paperwork out X amount of hours.
yeah, okay,
I had the truck,
yeah.
that you can do.
Yeah.
As far as pre-check, that's something that's gonna have to be picked up when they do the monthly checks at the station, you know, for the trucks and stuff like that. I mean, you can't, no way take the time to.
No.
I mean, like you've done pre-trips,
many of them.
they're 45 minutes if you do it correctly. Right? If you do everything that you're supposed to.
I'm not gonna say, I mean, it'll take you 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Go around the tractor trailer.
Mhm. But I've seen
But
some
the
that
same-
take longer.
By the same token, you wanna do it, you know, I don't wanna be broke down in the middle of Vermont, cause I missed a.
Because you missed the
train,
bolt, right?
You know,
Mhm.
before I even got started.
Right.
And that's the same thing.
Here's the
And
thing,
that's
I look
with us
at,
with our
when,
our
instead of doing
monthlies.
the pre-check, when you come back, these guys should be making sure the masks are clean, the
Mhm.
air bottles are filled. At the same time, walk around the truck and see if anything else is missing,
Check the
falling
tires.
off, or anything
Yep.
like that.
Yeah, the last
Look
thing
for
you
wear
wanna
and
do is
tear.
flat out.
That's the only way I can
Flat
see to do it, is do it at the end of when they use the truck,
Right.
not the beginning.
I think what he's trying to do is just get you a paper trail
He is
started.
trying to log it so we have something,
And-
because there is some things that have gone on in the past.
You know, you mentioned monthly checks, that's no go. You know, it's gonna be more than monthly checks and stuff.
Well, it could, yeah, whenever you take the truck, that's when you're gonna do it.
Exactly.
Right.
That's when you're gonna do it. It is a change for us, should we do it? I'm gonna say probably, it's gonna be a big change, and there's gonna be some balking, but we'll get through it.
It's no different than what everybody else is doing
No,
now,
it's
though.
not.
That's the only thing.
We just gotta do it a little different in this situation.
Well, you bring yourself into the 2000s is what you'll do.
Yeah.
But-
And this has been asked for, as said, by the Department of Labor right along.
Yeah.
It's one of the criteria that they've asked for.
If when this gets started, I mean, I used to do this where I worked, like every forklift, we run 30 forklifts, and every forklift had to have a VCR per operator. So when we was running 24 hours, you'd get 60 VCRs the next morning.
Yeah.
But that's how, I collect the VCRs, and go up, sit down in the office, and get down through them. If I see something, if a guy wrote up the brakes was poor, I take it out of service. You know, and you do it right then, and you do the paperwork and stuff that you need to do it. But it's gotta be done more often than once a month.
Correct.
If something, when it starts, if there's something I can do to help you, I'll be more than help.
Well, you see the paperwork, it's pretty much right there, I mean, the forms, and you,
Yeah.
that's it,
Yeah,
and
it's pretty-
that's pretty much the forms we will have to follow, it's pretty much what the Department of Labor have had in the past, that same type of form.
Even if you need them, like Napa sells those forms too, you know, you can buy them generic and stuff.
Yeah.
Because what you're looking for is truck number, hours, miles, and the defects, and then sign off at the bottom, whether it's yes or no. It's
It's
not
a
a
paper
hard
trail
trail.
is what it is, and it's probably a good thing, it's not a bad thing. It's a
Yeah.
good thing.
But, J.J. Keller too.
Yeah, well, JJ, Napa handles JJ.
Oh, they do,
stuff.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, old business. Owner property update. Property update. It's,
I spoke to Ally Hurley at the attorney's office, and they they're very confident they found all the potential heirs on, Hazel Ward's property.
okay.
And what she needs to know now, and I haven't heard back from her yet, because I don't know if it's an additional cost, but she wants to know, which way do you want to go? Do you want to start taxing these potential heirs? Or do you want this office to contact all the heirs to see if they have any interest in the property, and maybe they'll release it to the town?
That's what I'd say. If they contact them all and see if they.
Okay, they identified Gladys Ward, is the heir. She had 4 kids, 2 have passed. 1 child had 7 children. So they would all be considered having interest in the property, so that's kind of like what we're looking at for heirs. But they're happy to do whatever, they just need a decision.
I would think the oldest living heirs would be the ones to be contacted and stuff, instead of the 7 siblings and stuff.
She said they all have an interest in the property, so if they ever came back and found out that there was the property, they could always go back and say, hey, I'm right here, I want that property, and you don't, as far as selling.
It costs a few more months to get the back taxes that really would rather be.
Well, you
But if
only
they
get,
want the land, we'll get it anyway.
Right.
only get,
But we'll do it.
You're gonna share the title.
you only get 3 years back taxes, right? Yeah. You know, no matter how you do it, I mean, this has been on the books since, what, 53?
This has been a huge hole that we're trying to fill in,
Yeah.
so, what do you guys want to do?
Yeah, I'd say contact all the heirs and they can either sign off, stop paying taxes on it. Because if we do a quick claim, then they have someone who would come back and have the right to it.
You gotta clear the title either way.
Yeah. Yeah, so have them do that.
That's a big chunk of land, that'd be pretty marketable if you had a clear title.
Yeah.
So contact all that, you want our office to go ahead and do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Bear Pond update, next meeting, I don't think we're gonna have any more meetings on that, you think, Dwight?
I don't know, we've been asked, if we're gonna have one more. I picked up trash cans the day before yesterday,
Yeah.
so the only thing left in there is a porta potty.
I haven't heard back from them, I don't know why, I'll get in touch with them again.
I don't think it'd be a bad thing to just sit down and go over some of the stuff that we do. Actually, I thought we had a pretty good year.
I thought so, really.
Compared to what some of the other towns around here had trouble with their beaches and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
With the amount of money, we're still under budget by, I think around $400.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe talk about next year's plan to do the same or improve on something.
You know, just see what people think.
Yeah.
Stickers, that was the only complaint that I heard, the color of the stickers, you can't see them.
Yeah.
Give Chatham or the beach attendant, whoever's gonna be there, a little bit more enforcement or something to track. Cause he was saying that people would come down there with no sticker, you tell them, it'd be like, it is what it is. So we're still beating that old dead horse,
Yeah.
trying to get some enforcement.
But, you know, I was surprised we sold as many stickers but we didn't sell them, the people come in and pick them up, but it was over $1,000 worth of stickers, at $10 a sticker, you know, so I was surprised at that.
When do you wanna have another meeting?
I don't know, you wanna get in touch with Ben, see, what's good time for him, and you can get in touch with everybody else.
I would say closer to spring, so it's fresh in everybody's mind, we're not sitting on it all winter,
Yeah.
but anytime is fine.
Budget committee update, how many we got? Two?
Right now, I can put out another tickler, but I didn't know if you wanted to, how you wanted to move forward with it, I guess. He's too interested in addition of friends,
Maybe
so three,
three?
maybe like, that's cool.
I think we've got 3 right now, don't we?
Well, no, you have one. Yeah, I don't know how you guys wanna handle these candidates coming in. They have to be appointed or whatever,
The committee, no, really.
or do you wanna interview them, or just say, I mean,
So it's definitely
have a conversation?
Interview, yeah.
I think we ought to sit down and talk to them.
Absolutely.
You know, tell them,
Find out what their background and what their.
well, they don't know what we're up against. You know, they don't know what the school budget bill is per month. You know, they don't know what we've got looking at us for increases, you know, so I think
Wes wants to be on the budget committee, he's got a pretty good grasp of the school budget, everything like that.
you do too? Well, that's 4 then.
No, Wes is on that list you have, right?
Nope.
Bill, so that's 4 right
You
there.
need one more. I wasn't, if you're counting Fred, we need 5. I have 2 that emailed me, and then Lex, we need 1 more.
Put the feelers out again, I know Bruce said you might be interested, but you didn't know how.
That's what I said, we're gonna have to work out the fire department, because I can't be
Right, you're gonna,
two sides, that's the problem. I don't mind being on the budget committee, but then when it comes to that stuff, I gotta walk out the door. It's just not right for me to push.
Do you wanna talk to people next workshop?
yeah,
Another ad, the shopper's guide.
yeah.
I can do another tickler type of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
These other people that are interested, do you want me to provide them with MMA information on basically, what a budget committee is and
Sure.
just general information?
Yep.
So you think you got 5 people then?
No.
4.
Yeah, that's what I got for 4.
Interesting to me. I didn't know if you were gonna turn out. You want Fred here next workshop?
I think that'd be fair, if he's gonna be the chair of the committee, he should have a say in who's gonna be on
Yeah,
that road.
yeah.
Alright, I guess I'll with Fred.
You may have some questions.
Yeah, he told me it was a bad back, so.
Oh.
Is that, really?
Yeah, he's been having back spasms all day. He'll
Oh.
get over it. He attempted to start doing firewood, and I think it got to him.
You think a good son would do his firewood for
Well,
him?
he's got grandchildren. He got grandchildren for that. I got my own to do.
I thought Wes was already on.
No, I don't have them right now, but it's.
Planning board meeting Thursday, September 24th, 7 p.m. Nathan Wilderness public hearing. That's a public hearing, Joe?
You have to talk to the planning board, I'm just
Okay.
recused from anything to do with Manchester.
Okay, yeah, you're right, I'm sorry.
It's supposed to be a public meeting, there was a shortfall of getting an advertisement in the shopping guide. But I guess it's still on schedule.
The shoreland's getting in the shopper's guide for 2 weeks, but I didn't see this one in the shopper's guide. The shoreline's a public hearing.
So technically,
town policy on the website that says, first and foremost, that it's shopper's guide 7 days prior, and then, the website is supplemental, just what we've always stood by.
You wanna contact David?
I did,
You
he
did?
still wants to have it.
Does that leave that town open for,
It's up to you guys, we've always had a rule of thumb of, and it's in a policy, it was signed in 2016.
town policy, and I read the, email you got back from MMA, if they are elected and they're on kind of their own separate entity, it would fall under, if they're appointed, so they have to abide by the town policy. And it's all,
Certain by non-regular meetings.
did you forward that to Dave Strauss?
I guess.
Yeah. So I think it might leave the town open for lawsuits.
Not everybody has internet access to see the website and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people rely on that shopper's guide, and I think that was the background on writing that policy.
That is, yeah. Send them the MMA response to that.
Okay.
Maybe you can get, say, you can get David Law involved too.
Okay.
And we can't be breaking our own town policies.
Oh, well, we have them.
Right. General assistance ordinance public hearing and vote Tuesday, October 6th at 6:30. I take it Maurice will be here.
I can ask. He wasn't feeling well last Thursday, but I can ask. He wants to
Because I know he's been here in the past.
again, yes,
Explaining.
depending on how he's feeling, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
Well, somebody
I'll
already-
ask the question, yeah.
Or somebody from the other.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
They still haven't found a replacement for him yet, have they?
He's
He
gonna
is the
continue.
replacement. You don't wanna retire.
Okay. Cause that meeting that you and I went to, they were supposed to set us up a trainee, Maurice was supposed to train him, so the transition would be hectic.
Never.
Maurice said no way.
Yeah, he wants to keep going with it. And he's made for the job, there's no doubt about it, he does good for what he does.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he had very few complaints, people like it.
By the book too.
So that's gonna be your same time. So we're gonna have a public hearing for all 30 on that night then. General assistance usually doesn't get too crazy, but
Right, that's over 6.
yep, so you'll have fire, town assessor, and general assistance all in one.
Remind me. All right, Bruce, you got anything else? You, man?
Well, I would like to consider my taxes. I know that we stopped over there and I didn't say anything, but I would like to see how our taxes went up several $1,000s. And I don't live in a really big house. We have tile, but again, we have a dirt driveway, we have a really crappy road, and I have 2 doors in my house, and they're in a closet, and I have a sliding door in the bathroom, and I have a folding door in a closet. There's really nothing very spectacular about where I live. And it just went up really high.
Did you file for an abatement?
No, because I thought it was too late when I came here.
In February.
Oh, well then I'll do that.
I'd advise advised put everything on it. I made the mistake of putting one thing on it and I can't contest it, so.
Yeah, and it's not like we have crushed rock in front of the garage, but it's a dirt road that goes into the dirt river road and.
Yep, that's what I suggested, is file an abatement and, go from there.
Okay.
Now that you brought the taxes back up, I've been sitting here thinking too, the whole view factor thing is still, he said we've been assessed for it, but nobody's known about it. So it kinda seems like a backdoor thing. He says we could do away with it, but he advises us not to.
Right.
So I'm not an assessor. I don't know the legalities behind it, if it is state legal mandated, or if it is town mandated. But it just seems like it was up front, when they started the new assessment, if they said, all right, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna add a view factor, we're gonna add this, then it is what it is. But it just seems like it's kind of something that slid in, and it's called 3 or 4 different things. I'm confused about that.
Mm-hmm. Plus also the waterfront, you get the view, and you get people who live on Brooks waterfront, whatever you can get.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Hmm?
Oh, yeah, they are.
I know. Oh, they were,
Yeah.
Kevin? Yeah.
The only thing, like you said, we've been assessed before, and that's bullshit, just because of the fact that my brother, Al now, and I have paid the same amount of property taxes for our land up until this year. They just, here you go, take it.
But maybe I've been paying for it.
Maybe you've been paying
Right.
for it, you've been paying for mine, I appreciate that.
I know, I've been paying high for a long time. I just wanna say that I think Cumberland County hired somebody that botched the entire assessment.
I agree.
Cause that guy shouldn't be here, Ben, should not be here, handing you guys this stuff. This was wrong, this is wrong. The whole thing was botched.
Well,
Bad.
we anticipated a lot of
But
mistakes.
and who pays him to come back and do this? Are we paying again for him, or is this all in the original price?
They're paying a one lump sum fee for the whole project.
Right.
Until it's done.
I wanna, like I said, I'm not to take away from what you said, but I'm gonna contact his office about the back charges, and I wanna get some paperwork from you that we can move forward, because if I'm still gonna be charged, I wanna know why, and why isn't it across the board?
That's what it seems like you said, you get one bite at the apple.
I didn't know
It
that.
doesn't seem like the information is being put out to the people. The people are being, everybody knows taxes may go up, values go up, we all understand that. We just wanna feel fair, that it's being assessed fairly. You know, fill in the abatement, they do that, all right, we'll take this off. You don't get it, did you get the answer before you had your second shot? Did you get the chance to say, no, I'm not happy with this?
No, because there was
So that's what I'm saying.
there was a big, not to go back into the past, but there was a big discussion about something else that night. I ended up leaving because I didn't get a chance to speak. Spoke last week, and I asked you guys about another abatement, and you said, sure, you can file as many as you want. Now, Ben's telling me you get one shot at it.
I didn't know that.
If I'd have known, I would have contested every single bit of it.
Right.
So, in his point of view, I got my one shot, they made a deduction, he's done with it. So now I have to continue it. I'm still not happy with it, by no means. I know I have to pay taxes, but they've been high for a long time. And if I'm getting view factors in the past that you guys didn't know about, and he wasn't getting charged for, which I don't want him to get a back charge. I don't want anyone to. But I would just wanna know.
Let's go back 10 years, sorry.
Right, so
I've handed out all kinds of abatements once, I didn't realize that, I would've made sure people
Yeah.
understood it here, but
you know,
everything.
if you abate on your driveway that they say was paved and it's dirt, that's your one shot,
Yeah.
you know, obviously there was a lot of mistakes, or small mistakes, which the money that you guys are,
I'll be honest with you, I thought that.
I thought it would be more also, and like I said, I can't believe there's not more people here. You know, that's a,
I've
very
been talking to Debbie, you know, the tax collector, we get very little complaints so far. and I'm surprised at that.
So maybe it's only a select few, that's what I said last meeting, I cannot believe there's not more people here. With
Well,
what, mine,
Danielle, you said you gave out a whole bunch of forms.
When we first,
Yeah,
started.
and
it
Ben
was-
still
it
has
was
a bunch on his desk.
At least 2 a day, but it's
We
calmed
did
down a lot.
what, dozen tonight or something,
Right.
and like I said, I'm surprised we didn't do more.
Mm-hmm. Right, with the abatements we were signing tonight, I was shocked how little the abatements were.
Me too.
$23, like, they took a whole buildable lot off this person's property, and they only got a $319 abatement for only a whole, you can own a whole extra buildable lot. It's only worth $300 in tax, but it's a whole buildable lot. They're talking about the value, the assessment of it.
isn't that 25,000 though?
Buildable lot, 25 grand.
You know what I'm saying, isn't that 25 grand value?
Yeah, well, they valued it at $23,475.
Right.
And the
Oh,
tax
yeah,
bill
so
was
that-
$319.75. But there was another one in here that was, said there was an apartment, and there was no apartment. Like a pretty big deduction, I would think, in a property value. And there was other stuff, another building, there was only $1,000 abatement. I would think it would be more, you know. That was one of the bigger ones that we had. All the other ones are,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of the view and factor adjustment, $300, $340, minor $42.
Taxes aren't due until October 18th, you might see an uprise when people start wanting to pay taxes, they might not even be looking at it quite yet, but we're gonna see this all the way into February, they're not due until, the deadline's February, so they're still gonna trickle in between now and then.
You know, people may not understand either what rights they do have. And I've heard from a few people that have been like, but they're not doing nothing about it.
Right.
And I said, go to town hall, they're all in abatement. That's what I tell everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of them are abatement.
Can we inform people that come to get abatements from moving forward right now, that make sure you put everything you want on it?
Right.
You know, from, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I know, that's bad on.
I didn't know either.
Not knowing that.
Right.
You know,
At least
I
advise,
wouldn't wanna come in.
There was nothing
one
written
and
on the
done.
abatement as to how to fill it out, no directions, like.
no,
Directions
it
on that,
just,
but
if
doesn't
you have
say
to write an
it's one shot.
explanation on what you're contesting.
Right.
And
So I contested one thing, and that was my fun shot at it.
Oh, and they didn't have a parentheses with an S, so.
you can put as much as you want.
You can write as much as you want, but I was contesting one thing, Ben gave me a deduction, I'm not gonna say he didn't. But I'm still contesting why my one base lot is 50 grand, not 25, like everybody else gets.
Because we went from a 3 to a 2,
Right, the view factor.
because we could see blue water.
Right.
You can see the mountain, whole presidential, that's only 2, but.
But anyways, I just advise
Yeah, to
that
put
everybody
everything down.
put everything that you're contesting on there, whether it's your windows, your doors, everything.
Yeah.
I put
That
everything on,
confuses
but
me too. I
it'll
don't
be the
understand
third
why
time something
that,
got overlooked.
because he's saying the value is in the view. Yeah, that land sitting there as raw land that they don't assess a view factor on. But when you sell it, you get more money for it, it's the same thing.
So it sounds like it's
Same exact thing.
selectors picking where they're hitting.
Exactly.
Cause if there's like Gary was saying, if there's a chunk of land that has the view, why aren't they being spanked like he just got?
Would you be able to tell though, like, by road, who would probably have it, cause it's not like we can get a trio and export out view. Everybody's got the view factor, we can't collect that, we can't export that out and say, okay, this is the list. It's figured in, so it would be people that are familiar with the area say, oh yeah, Mountain Road's got it, this one's got it, that one's got it. Cross-check everything, so that would be hard to make sure everybody's, you decide not to do it, everybody's getting on the same playing field.
If everybody knew about it, that's the thing.
Well, how do you identify all the properties that got hit with it?
Well, if they
Yeah, that's
code
what
it,
I
don't you have access to their coding and can you run a report via their
Is it a code though?
It is, it's a number
View
code.
factor 1 through something.
It's a number code? Well, that should be exportable then. I
Yeah,
thought
so
it
you
was
should be able to digest the form, the program to be able to spit out.
Vision can export that, I didn't realize there was an actual code for it.
It
Okay,
was in the upper left-hand corner.
alright, sorry. Then yes, it's exportable.
Ben explained in a couple meetings ago that there was a number in your taxes that most of us wouldn't understand what that number was.
That's the number.
It was like a 1 through 5 or 1 through 3.
The code number,
Yeah.
the view number.
And he explained that most of us wouldn't understand what that number was. In a couple of meetings ago, 2 or 3 of them, he explained that none of us would know what that number is, and that's what we're getting charged for, is a view factor. So there's gotta be a way to change, you need to change mine from a 3 to a 2. So there's gotta be something that justifies what those numbers are.
We hit 1.25, correct? 1.25, 1.5, and then 2, depending on what, and 3 was the highest. But
And that's what we all
he
had.
knocked us off the 3. Down to a 2.
I don't get access to that.
So it all depends, and it's all up to the guys look at your land. Wow, I love that view. That's where it
Yeah.
is.
But that's why I say, we're not qualified assessors.
Right.
These guys have gone to take state certifications and stuff to do that.
Well,
They're the ones putting that on there.
Well, I can tell you what a view looks like.
But you guys have
I
the
can
right
go
to
see
take it
why your
off.
view. Jimmy, I like your view. You overlook all down the Baldwin.
Standards, Portland. But you guys have the right to take that off.
Like what Ben called it, we call it a view factor, he called it a rookie mistake of putting it out there so people saw it.
Yeah, so people, you couldn't hide the word view.
It was trying to hide it, so,
That's how I see it.
out of sight, out of
It seems to
mind.
me like it's just if it's on paper and everybody knows they have to pay for it, people have to pay for it. But if it's a split-in thing, a rookie mistake that the taxpayers found it, I don't agree with it. I'll admit it, I don't agree with it.
I think you're gonna look at it on a valuation business, on a really, is it worth more, or is it valued higher with the view than it is without the view?
I 100% agree with you on that. If it's put out, then everybody knows and understands what they're doing. But if they're doing it on developed land, it should be put on raw land as well, because that raw land is gonna be worth as much money. And there should be a deduction factor too, in my opinion.
But they only do it on, if there's a building on it.
But why is that, Dwight? I should go buy Sheep, I would go buy Sheep Mountain right now. The place right by my house. Been for sale forever. It is absolutely beautiful up there. But they don't get charged them taxes.
But if you're assessing land, I think Joe hit on it last week, that you get hit with it because you have a house. Well, it's easy access, they can pull in your driveway. But if they're gonna evaluate land, they should go hike it and look at it.
So if someone builds a house on that land that says a view, does that get figured in? The view?
It will when there's a reassessment, yes.
When they build a house, cause that triggers an assessment when they get a building permit.
Right, but the land is still worth more with a view. You go by
Even though nothing's on it.
It's a selling point, like they're saying my house is a selling point. That piece of land, like he said, the Sheep Mountain, I don't know if anybody knows where that is, but it's beautiful looking over Sebago Lake. Out of Sebago Lake, lower than his house on
It's
Sebago.
lower than my house, it's
In
more of the
Sebago,
lake.
but you're looking right down the lake, Fry's Island, Portland. It's beautiful. I've hunted it. But nobody knows it unless you go walk that land.
Right. Like you said about walking the land. This lady that got her abatement denied, I was actually in here and helped her fill out her abatement form. And she's saying that her land is swampy, and, Ben said, I'll do a drive-by. She's like, you can't see it from the road, you actually have to pull down in and look. And he said, I'll do a drive-by. She's like, no, you have to come on my property and look.
So he didn't do his job, right?
I'm not saying.
Right, but if you didn't go in and look, you did a drive-by.
It just doesn't fit right. It just seems like there's too many variables that's not on paper and accessible to everybody.
It'd be worth looking to see if we can export, I don't know if we have that access to export out that code. How many there are, what are we talking for numbers, tax amounts, how many properties? I don't know, we don't know right now.
Right.
Before you did anything, you might want to express all this point of view to the assessor, because he might be able to answer your questions differently than we're operating in a vacuum.
Yeah, right.
That's what we pay him for.
Exactly.
You know, when you ask him a question like that, he's gotta come up with the answer.
You want me to get a hold of Ben tomorrow and ask him if they can export out that kind of information so we have it?
Yeah, please. You had,
Yes, I have something unrelated to that, but, on Friday, Wes, you dropped by our place because you had received a complaint that we were running a garage and working on cars in our yard. After investigating, you concluded, I guess there's nothing to it. I just want to cast a little light on it, and I also want to request a letter from you that documents the visit, the complaint, not the complainant, I don't care who complained, but detailing things out, because I'm someone who likes documentation and I do like facts. I just want to say, in 1993, Jerry and I filled out all required paperwork to open not a repair shop, but a restoration shop. Sometimes we would have maybe 2 vehicles arriving on a flatbed per year. There was no major traffic issue because people weren't coming in and out for an oil change. We didn't do that. We restored vehicles, and they were post-World War II British automobiles, so very, very little impact. We filled out all the paperwork, we appeared before the planning board, our abutters were informed, only 2 neighbors came to our planning board meeting, and it was Helen and Henry Black. They came in support. They said, wow, a small business with no traffic in support, because Henry had cattle and that kind of stuff. And as time progressed, it was sometimes 1 vehicle a year or 2. Everything was approved, the building permit, the code enforcement officer at the time came, he checked our electric, everything. We had master electrician Cliff Pelora at the time, he did commercial buildings as well as residential. And so anyhow, in 1996-97, we totally dissolved the business. Jerry's parents both ended up with the same devastating type of cancer, pancreatic. Jerry took on a caregiving role. So the business, we really kept it very, very small. And then when all was said and done, his parents had died, we sat and we thought long and hard and said, let's dissolve the business. Let's not try to do this. We had inherited the places and they needed some work. Now, when it comes to any noise people may hear, I'll say that Jerry and I both took blacksmithing apprenticeships. We both do blacksmithing. We both do metal fabrication, mostly as hobbies and to restore vehicles that we own. We did mention to you, Wes, you can look that the vehicles in our shop were registered here in the town of Baldwin under our names. There's minimal noise. It could be an impact wrench, could be an air compressor, the vacuum to remove dust from the sandblasting chamber, a little hammering. This is definitely not a commercial venture. You did not call us first to schedule any kind of time, and we were absolutely fine with that. That way you got to see that nothing was being hidden. Surprise, didn't surprise us. We were okay. Now, the only request, the noisiest thing in the last month was replacing 2 rocker panels on my Jeep Cherokee, because I liked the year 99 before Jeep took a bad turn in design and mechanics. Our request is that we just want documentation on town of Baldwin letterhead, including the complaint, not the complainant, I don't care. Your investigating notes and your final conclusion. We're not speculating about any type of retaliatory behavior. We will say that we've never had someone just show up and say that we've had a complaint. Jerry and I are very quiet, private people, and we're not keen on breaking regulations or laws. We're not perfect people. No one is. But, and I have no problem with you having dropped by, but it is nice to have documentation and paperwork on file just in case anything goes. If we start having a lot more complaints all the time and start being burdened by these complaints, nice to have files. So if someone, maybe Danielle or you, could get together and just, I know it's a busy time, even if we don't get it for a couple of weeks, it would just be nice to have that paperwork. Thank you.
I can comment on it if you want me to.
Yeah.
I was responding to a complaint. It didn't seem like much to you mean, I knew nothing about it, I have never seen that place before, in fact, I had trouble finding it first.
Yeah, and we're fine, we're not getting on your case, we're just saying what we need.
I looked at the building. I don't have the right to go into buildings unless I'm invited in.
You were
I do have
invited
the right to
in.
go on property, okay. So, I went up to the house, and I met your husband.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
We had a nice, conversation. He said, would you like to see the garage? I said,
Yeah.
sure. Went down there. He told me a little bit about the history, the earlier dates that you did have a business there during the 90s.
Mhm.
I looked into the shop. My evaluation was there's so much clutter there, nobody could possibly carry on a business there. And there were two wonderful old Austin Healey's there. Wonderful hobby. That's my result.
Good. And if we could have something like that in writing, we'd appreciate it.
I'll write it up.
Thank you.
You don't have anything in writing about the person's complaint,
No, I
it
don't.
was just a verbal,
Yes.
verbal complaint?
Yes. My visit was more spurred on curiosity rather than looking for a real violation.
Yeah, but, good, again, we perceive you're coming, you're the code enforcement officer. We're not saying that you were unfriendly, anything. I mean, we have security cameras, so your conversation with Jerry, I listened to all of it, and was perfectly fine. So I'm not getting on your case, I'm just telling you what we need. And that's just documentation. That is a smart thing, to do, for anyone, is, you know, just know the complaint filed against you, not necessarily the complainant, but just know. Keep track of that, because you never know when, something will build on something else. And we're not being rude or disrespectful to anyone, just mindful of what's important.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Libby, you got anything?
Thank you.
Nice to see you out and about.
Yeah, something new.
See you, Brian.
Well, I would like to mention the old West Walden Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it takes an article in the town report, but, and we're only talking the first two driveways.
Okay, nice.
As you start down the hill, the first driveway is all washed to pieces. And it will continue to wash to pieces until we decide to hot top it or put coal patch in or something. And the second driveway, just as you start the crest of the hill, it's got two great big potholes. And the two trash barrels have been full ever since, before Memorial. And stuff overflowing, laying beside the barrels. And I don't know, I just buried my wife up there last December, and I've been up there a lot, and I just think it's unacceptable to not be able to, empty a couple of waste barrels, and, you're never, ever gonna fix the driveways with crushed gravel. Never gonna happen. It's got to be hot top, or, what do you call that, coal patch. Doesn't have to be a $10,000 job, it just has to be, you know. But, I think that should be looked at, and if it takes a article in the town report, I'd like to see that done. But,
Is something else you wanna have Brian look at, Danielle?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch where that was.
It's a West Walden Cemetery.
West Walden, yeah.
Yeah. And, I wasn't aware of the trash, I thought you had somebody taking care of them,
well,
the mowing, and, we usually, when Ronnie would do it, he'd empty the trash.
Ronnie did it constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have thought so too. But, Ronnie always put the great big trash bags in the barrels, taped around it.
Yeah.
And then they were full, he could pull the trash bags out. But doesn't look like there's any trash bags in them, so either gonna have to pick the barrels up and dump them into a truck, or pick the barrels up and put them in the back end of the truck.
Right.
I'm sure Melon could go over and take care of it on a one-time deal if you wanted to get into something like that. Melon, they did San Juan for us.
Oh, that'll be some
You
expensive.
can't get in there with a truck.
Right, so,
And you can just about get your pickup in through the gates.
right.
There's no room there at all.
You'd have to, somebody would have to go down, get the trash bills and
They
bring them
can do that. I didn't know if it was too much for a single, that they got a crew, they can have a couple guys and
Well, they're looking like
take
the
care of the
barrels,
can.
what,
I don't know.
200 yards?
Two guys and a pickup truck,
Yeah.
it might take them 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can ask them, I mean, but it's not accessible for a truck.
And then put a
So you want
plastic
Brian to
bag
do the trash?
and then put the plastic.
Yeah, they.
It might be easier to see Brian could just do it.
Anything else?
No, that's just a minor complaint, that's all.
Tom? Good. Good? Kathy?
Is town hall gonna be open for voting? Can people come in and vote, or does everything have to be done by mail? What are we doing in this town?
I have no idea, let's see.
Well, I think she's gonna open up to vote, but it'll be, you know, with COVID compliance.
Yeah,
With all the stuff that she's got, Diane, she'll have it, you know, marked one way in, one
like
way
we did
out.
before.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like she did last time.
That's all right. People have been asking me questions. I'm like, I don't know. I'll find out.
No, I thought that was excellent, that you did it last time.
Yeah, that worked out great.
Yeah.
Worked out good. The library is doing fine. We're doing the, Baldwin Community Auxiliary Flea Market on Saturday and Sunday, and then everything will be hauled away. We're still looking for a custodian. We still don't have a renter for the downstairs. The elevator is halfway inspected. I still need this last piece to be inspected and then the certificate to be sent. And it's due by October 3rd, so, trying to get calls, trying to get a schedule, I don't know, I'm working on it, but, oh well.
When did you tell me the annual meeting was gonna be?
The 2nd of October, it's a Friday at 1 o'clock, or 4 o'clock.
What time? 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock.
So October 2nd?
Yes, it's Friday, not Saturday.
It's a good thing I asked you that, because I had it wrong on the.
Oh, okay. So, if we can put it on the calendar, the town calendar, Danielle?
I'm sorry, I was having a coughing fit.
Oh,
Put it
sorry.
on calendar.
To have the annual meeting for the library listed October 2nd at 4 p.m.
At the library?
at the library, outside.
Okay.
Now, we have an air handling system that kicks in colder weather. It doesn't work when it's warm, but it does work when it's cold. And it does change the air fairly rapidly. So I'm getting the Atlantic Comfort System to make sure that the filters, we have filters downstairs that people know where they are, and that they